Hello, once again, one and all, and welcome back to Conquest of Azeroth. Taking a look at Knight of Xoroth. I'm going to try to keep this quick. This video may drag on for a little because there's a lot to talk about. Knight of Xoroth is a strength class. Plate-wearing, two-handed weapons, unless you're playing the tank class, which is a sword shield, or a one-handed and shield, correction. But it's really strong. You've got abilities like Sever and Inferno Strike, which are your bread and butters, for spending and generating rage, as well as generating your Demon Fire. And Demon Fire is this little bar right here, which stacks up to 6 times, and you have abilities like Knight of Flames of Xoroth, which spend all of your Demon Fire when used, but have an increased damage or effect per Demon Fire used. You have Flesh Hook, which is basically the Scorpion's get over here spell, kind of like a Death Knight's Death Grip. You have Hellforge, which lets you place down a blacksmithing forge and anvil. You've got Flay Corpse, which is a ability you can use out of combat to heal yourself and generate mana. It consumes corpses, and it actually affects the corpse. It turns them into a pile of meat. You have Pestilences. You have 3 baseline. Pestilence of War, Pestilence of Conquest, and Pestilence of Famine. Each one, as you can see, has its own unique effect, but it also has an Unleash effect, which is used by Unleash Pestilence. Pestilence of War heals you and damages enemies. Pestilence of Conquest interrupts spellcasting. And Pestilence of Famine reduces enemy movement speed by 50% for a little bit of time. Really good, really useful. Another baseline skill you get is Hell Rider, which increases your melee haste, movement speed, and mounted speed by 10% for 10 seconds, and that is increased by 20% per Demon Fire consumer. I don't mean like it adds an extra 20%, but it is that 10%, 12%, all the way up to 20%, 22% at 6 stacks of Demon Fire. Really, really useful. You also have Melt, which is another thing that spends Demon Fire, that reduces enemy armor by 4% per Demon Fire used when you cast it for 24 seconds. Really good, stacks well with some abilities from your talent tree. You also get Meat Saw and Skull Taker baseline, which causes Meat Saw is an AoE that spends rage and generates Demon Fire, and Skull Taker is a single target Demon Fire consumer that does quite a bit of damage and has surprisingly high crit chance, I have found. As for the skills you get in the talent tree for the class, Chains of Malice is a short-ranged drag, which basically you latch onto an enemy and you drag them around with you. You can walk around, it stuns them. Great for displacing enemies or dragging enemies into friends or allies, or controlling mobs in PvE. Suffuse is a Demon Fire spender. For each Demon Fire consumed, it increases the duration up to 30% at 6 stacks of Demon Fire. It's a very low-level heal that scales with your stamina and defense rating. Black Shield is a shield that you get that requires you to have Demon Blood. In Demon Blood, I did not forget to talk about. I was waiting to tell us Prevalent to talk about. Defiance is a passive that when you take damage, you have a 1 in 4 chance of generating rage and a stack of Demon's Blood, and that stack of Demon's Blood increases the healing you receive by 1%. Black Shield consumes all of your stacks of Demon Blood up to 10 to increase the effectiveness of the shield by up to 200%, 20% for each stack, and it lasts 30 seconds. Really, really good panic button. Something I would definitely suggest no matter what build you're playing is Demon Heart, because it is a free instant 6 stacks of Demon Fire and 50 Rage. Always good to have. The passives in this tree are pretty much what we would expect. Extra stats, flat increasing your physical or fire damage. Bloodied Blade and Demonic Rage are 2 I would definitely grab because they cause your Demon's Blood stacks to now generate additional rage, or make it so your physical damage now can also potentially grant a stack of Demon's Blood as well. Really, really useful. Dark Riders also increases the effect of your mark spells, which are your little self buffs for strength and fire resistance, or spell power and shadow resist. First spec we're going to take a look at is War. Now, War is pretty much what you would expect it to be. Two-handed weapon, I'm going to beat you bloody. Warbringer turns your Flames of Xoroth into Warbringer, it keeps it in AoE, but causes it to now reduce enemy healing by 50% for 10 seconds. Gore is a new ability you get from the tree. It's a 2-charge melee ability that spends 30 rage, but generates 1 demon fire. There's a lot of skills that interact with this on this tree. You get a pestilence in this tree. Pestilence to Death, which emanates a pestilence, which increases your critical strike damage by 10%, and when you unleash it, it deals a large chunk of damage to all enemies within 10 yards, and puts a debuff on them that absorbs a chunk of healing for 10 seconds. Really good in both PvE and PvP. You have Decimation, which causes your Skulltaker or Warbringer to guaranteed strike for 20%, and for an extra 25% damage on top of the extra crit damage. Now, the really important ability, which if you're playing War, you have to grab. I'm sorry, but this is the damage you get from this is insane. Is Burning Blade. It causes your melee critical strikes to send out a wave of fire in front of you, hitting every target it passes through for a decent chunk of damage, on top of just flat increasing your armor pen by 30% while you have stacks of Burning Blade. Burning Blade stacks do not diminish over time, they sit there until you use them. So using this in combination with Demon Heart allows you to have up to the max number of stacks ready, and you get 1 extra stack per demon fire you use. Pairing this with the two passive down here of Burning Swings and Hell Smited, I took Burning Swings for the extra 4 additional stacks because, holy crap, even with just that, the damage is insane. And I don't have enough critical strike chance to reasonably use Hell Smited and for it to be better DPS. Once you get to higher crit chance, that'd probably be a much better option. The spec passives are Crusher, Ripper, and Carver. And as you can see, a lot of this is playing off of Critical Strike, which you'll notice across all the specs. The talent tree passives, you've got Mutilation, Gourd, Consuming Blade, Fiend. Now, Fiend is one I'm actually going to take a minute to talk about because this is actually important. It makes your Sever and Infernal Strike now pretty much a set of abilities. Sever has a 4-cycle cooldown. So making a macro where you with Sever and Infernal Strike on it, so it cycles through them, you never ever run out of rage. And because Fiend makes your Infernal Strike free when you cast Sever first, you're just constantly generating the rage and generating Demon Fire without costing rage. So it gives you more rage to use on things like Gore or Meat Saw. You have Hellfire Stalker, which increases your critical strike and hit chance by a flat %, which is good. Burning Blade increases your Skulltaker. It now makes Skulltaker ignore 25% of a target's armor. Again, really good. You've got Bringer of Destruction. Critical damage now grants you 1 Demon Fire and 5 Rage. Can only occur once every 3 seconds. Absolutionism causes your Meat Saw to ignore 10% of the enemy's armor. Boundless Fury increases the effectiveness of the Unleash effect from Pestilence of Death by 30%. Murderous Smite increases the damage of abilities that spend Demon Fire by 25%. Screaming Demon reduces the cooldown of Unleashed Pestilence by 15 seconds, it's got a 5-second cooldown, so that brings it down to 30 seconds. Hand of Doom increases the weapon damage dealt by Sever by 10%, and it increases by 10% per demon fire you have, which causes it to deal up to 70% increased damage, which is pretty good. Conqueror's Will increases the critical strike chance of all party and raid members by 3%, does not stack with similar effects. In addition, critical strike now increases the target's physical damage taken by 4%. That's actually good too. Hellborn generating a stack of Demon's Blood has a 5% chance to unleash your active Pestilence at 5% of their effectiveness, which is good. And Chop Shop, each stack of Demon Blood now increases the critical strike chance of Sever increases the critical strike chance of Sever and Meat Saw by 1%. So all in all, these are really, really good challenges, and I only went down to where you could get reasonably by level 30 or level 32. Actually, no, I wouldn't be able to get down to those last rows. So those won't appear up there. but I went down to Burning Swings because that's actually a really good. Although I like War, it does a Burning Blade contributes so much damage. In the clip you're probably still watching, hopefully, it just causes me to deal so much damn damage. Most of that DPS is coming from Burning Blades. Moving on from here, we're going to talk about Hellfire. Hellfire's big thing is its level 10 passive, Greater Imp, which causes you to summon an imp. You deal fire damage with this spec, but you also, most of your spells and stuff scale off of spell power. Abilities like Hellmaw, Seeking Flame, and passive Reign of Chaos, all of that scales with spell power, which you get from intellect. You don't get mana, so really the spell power is the only reason you need intellect. Except for some of the class passives of Burning Power and Cinderblade, which give you a reason to stack it. And again, you can even see more crit. Other active abilities you get is you get a new Pestilence, Pestilence of Apocalypse, which causes enemies around you to take 10% increased fire damage from you. Or when you unleash it, it deals a very low damage pulse of fire damage every second to enemies around you for 8 seconds. Really decent, good extra damage. You also have Hellfire form, which increases your fire damage by 20% and your critical strike chance of fire damage by 50%. And then you also have Doom, which transforms your Greater Imp into a Doom Guard, increasing its damage, causing its auto attacks to ignite the target, dealing 10% of the damage dealt as fire damage over 6 seconds, and that stacks 6 times. Really good damage. Also, don't forget, make the mistake I made in my clip. I forgot to put my Flame of Xoroth back on the bar, so a lot of my DPS is lower than it should be because I didn't have that. With that, you deal quite a good amount of DPS. Your talents are Combusting Blade, Invasion, To Ashes, Hellfire Embers, Flame Ray Wrath, Claws of Hell, and Calamity to pick between. Seething Strikes, Reign of Chaos, which I've already talked about, Grotesque, Hellfire Rituals, and Infernal Steel. I'm not going to talk about them because I'm trying to save time. Hellfire is really good. It's also very strong. I don't know between it and War which are stronger. At level 30, they feel kind of even. The last spec we're going to take a look at is going to be Defiance, the tank spec, which centers around your block chance and spawning in imps, like Hellfire, except these aren't actual pets. They're short duration little minions that deal damage. Your first skill is going to be Shield Gore, which turns your Infernal Strike into Shield Gore, causes it to deal damage and causes an increase in threat, but it scales with your block value. Call Hellfire Imp is an ability you get that you can spam out every 10 seconds. It generates 2 Demon Fire and Rage, but it summons one Hellfire Imp, to fight alongside you for 12 seconds, and all the threat generated by the imps is transferred to you, which is really good. You have Sacrificial Circle, which causes you to sacrifice all Hellfire imps within 15 yards of you to heal you for 50% of your maximum health, plus a quarter of each of the imps' maximum health. Hellfire imps sacrifice this way, leave behind corpses for you to use your corpse live with, but that doesn't really use. The other ability you get by level 30 is Implosion, which causes you to deal an AoE around you, and summons imps to fight alongside you, and generates more rage. This consumes Demon Fire, and for each Demon Fire consumed, it increases the damage it deals, and summons 1 extra imp per Hellfire, meaning per Demon Fire. So at 6 stacks of Demon Fire, you get 6 extra imps. So you have a lot of imps going at once. The spec passives you get at every 10 levels. I'm sorry for tripping over my words. The first one is Brimstone Buckler, which causes you to have a chance to summon an imp every time you block, but it can only occur every 3 seconds. Imp Guards reduce the physical damage you take for each imp you have active, and Hellfire Resolve increases your block and hit chance by a % of your strength. So you definitely want to stack strength with this build, with this spec. As for the talent tree passives, you have Gift of Hell, you have Imp Gang Boss or Imp Caller, Health Smelted Armor, Bulwark of Xoroth, Warden of Hellfire, Hellfire Forge Master, Demon Fire Retaliation, Hellish Rebuke, Hellfire Reprimand, and Soul Furnace. Oh no. Soul Furnace, Demon's Breath, Demon Fire Command, and Infernal Bulwark. Defiance is a really strong spec for tanking. It's got plenty of AoE to help it keep aggro. The Imps helping keep aggro as well is really good. It does good single target, and it does really good AoE. I so far have enjoyed playing it. It didn't feel anywhere as rough playing as Dreadnought did for Cultist back in the beta. Granted, I have to try Bulwark again on my Cultist, see how that feels now. Maybe they fixed it. Now, the last thing we're going to talk about isn't a spec. It is a set of 3 abilities that you have by level 30. The first of them, Xorothian Warsteed. Now, you think it's a mount. It's not. It's a skill you get. You mount a Xorothian Warsteed, increasing your movement speed by 20%. And then every 3 seconds, if you have not dealt or taken damage, you generate a stack of Path of Hellfire, which increases your movement speed by another 20%. Up to 60% at level 30. At level 20, which I think is when you get this, you get up to 2 stacks. And at level 40, you get up to 5 stacks. So it keeps your mounts. It keeps you at the mount speed for what level you're at. This is really good. In PvP, not so much, because in PvP you automatically get max mount speed. So this kind of sucks for getting around in PvP. But you get 2 abilities: Hellfire Trample and Dread Rider Stomp, which is AoE. Both of these have their damage increase by 25% per stack of Path of Hellfire. So that's a lot of damage. It's not like you can stay mounted and fight, because the moment you use like any of your normal abilities, like Unleash Pestilence, for example, you get dismounted. But it is unique in the fact you actually get mounted combat, which for the longest time WoW players have wanted, which we only really got on the last couple of expansions, and it wasn't really done very well. Fair. All in all, Knight of Xoroth is strong. It is stupidly strong. It is fun. In PvP, you are a high priority target, because if someone sees you, you're either going to be melting their faces or you're going to get ganged up on to be gotten rid of, because you deal a crap ton of damage, no matter what spec you're playing. But with all that said, if you have enjoyed, please feel free to leave a like or a comment below. A like lets me know you all want to see more than a comment helps with the algorithm, which I always enjoy responding to my comments, no matter if they're good and or bad. So long as the bad ones are constructive, I will always respond to them. The next class I'm going to do is going to be my Cultist, because that is my current other class I've been playing. That's almost level 30. I'm going to be doing 2 videos for each class, one at 30, one at 60. Instead of doing one every 10 levels starting from 20, because that's just too much. So I'll be making a total of 42 videos. I'm going to be putting these all in the new playlist for each, so they're all kind of together. A word of advice: don't take everything I'm saying as the meta. As far as I know right now, there is no meta. There's so much crap going on. There's 72 specs. There's 21 classes. At this point, play what you enjoy. Find what you enjoy and play it. Screw the meta. With all that said, I hope you have enjoyed, and I hope to see you all again in the next one. Bye-bye.